gentlemen, the Philippine National Anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ang silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pansisingil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong baghang, may nilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walang pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa ating mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mamapit, magmamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Good morning to our ALS implementers and to all our viewers. This is the National Orientation on Mobile Technology for Teachers, MT4T 2.0 for DepEd ALS implementers. This program has been organized by the DepEd ALS Task Force, supported by UNICEF Philippines and Simeo Inotech, powered by Raxo CT. My name is Genesis from Simeo Inotech, and I will be your MC for this webinar. We are live via Zoom streaming at DepEd ALS 2.0 Facebook page and Simeo Inotech's YouTube channel. If you're watching through one of these channels, don't forget to share the live stream and to tag your colleagues on the comment section below so they can join us and learn with you. The National Orientation on Mobile Technology for Teachers, or MT4T, is a capacity building program for ALS implementers, which was formed under the tripartite agreement among DepEd ALS, UNICEF Philippines, and Simeo Inotech. It is an umbrella project that seeks to provide technical support to DepEd ALS 2.0 reform agenda. The main learning resource for this program is MT4T, a knowledge product developed by Simeo Inotech. It promotes the use of mobile devices for teaching and learning and guides teachers on helping their learners develop higher order thinking skills, cyber wellness, and digital citizenship. This is a 5-day program marked by webinars and asynchronous learning. The webinars are open to all ALS implementers, while the asynchronous activities are limited only to a group of ALS implementers called key trainers, selected by the DepEd ALS team to accomplish specific tasks from December 8 to 10 as part of this learning program. The webinars begin today, December 7, and will wrap up on Friday, December 11. For those of you watching on Facebook, after today's webinar, we invite you to also attend the webinar on Friday. Same time, same page to wrap up the 3-day asynchronous learning phase of this national orientation program with sharing of hands-on experience from our selected ALS key trainers. And we also have a panel discussion with education experts from DepEd ALS Task Force, UNICEF Philippines, and Simeo Inotech. In today's webinar, we have resource speakers from Inotech and DepEd who will introduce the concepts of digital citizenship and mobile technology for teaching and learning, as well as to provide an overview of the ALS K-12 basic education curriculum, learning strand number 6, focusing on digital citizenship. Of the ALS K-12 basic curriculum, learning strand number 6, focusing on digital citizenship. Towards the end, we will have our Q&A. Now, if you are watching through Facebook or YouTube and you want to ask questions, you can type them on the comment section below and we will take note of your queries. If you wish to address a specific panelist, please type in the name of the panelist by saying question for the name of the panelist and then submit your question at the comment section. To formally welcome you to this first webinar, we have invited 3 honored guests to deliver their message. Our first is the Assistant Secretary of DepEd, ASIC GHS Ambat, Assistant Secretary for Alternative Learning System of the Department of Education. Following ASEC Ambat will be Mr. Bezad Nubari, Deputy Representative of UNICEF Philippines. And finally, we have our very own Dr. Ramon C. Bacani, Director of Simeo Inotech, who will also welcome you. Without further ado, we give you ASEC Ambat.
Good morning to our partners and friends from Simeo Initech, from UNICEF Philippines, and of course, to my DepEd Alternative Learning System family. In recognition of the ever-changing global economic environment and the rapid changes in technology, we included a new learning strand in the ALS K-12 curriculum, which is on digital citizenship. From time to time, we get asked, why is it digital citizenship and not just digital literacy? We do recognize that with the demands of the ever-changing economic landscape, it's not enough that our learners know how to use Word, how to use Excel or PowerPoint. They should be able to navigate through the online world and be able to benefit from it and ensure that they are safe as they look for jobs, as they access online learning resources, as they go about their daily lives communicating with their loved ones and family, especially during the lockdowns. This orientation program will capacitate our as teachers and implementers to teach our learners on how to use social media, the various apps, and the various programs online so that they will be safe, so that they will be much more productive as they go about their learning, as they go about their daily lives tuned in or logged into the internet, as well as using the digital tools as we know them now. It's going to be a week of learning, of discovery, of asking questions. And I do encourage you to participate, to make the most out of this orientation program. As we say, there is no going back to the old normal. In a few months, we will be walking into the new normal where technology is present, and it will be a way of living, a way of learning, a way of teaching for all of us. So sit back and enjoy and learn. Thank you very much and good morning.
Good morning, participants of the National Orientation on Mobile Technology for Teachers. I'm Behzad Nobari, the Deputy Representative for Programs of UNICEF in the Philippines. First of all, a big good morning to the more than 9,000 ALS implementers nationwide who are joining us. My greetings to the Department of Education ALS Task Force, led by Assistant Secretary G.H. Ambat and headed by Director Marilet Almayada. Also, a big welcome and good morning to CMO InTech team, the implementing partners that are being headed by the Director, Dr. Ramon Bacani, and the Director of Programs, Philippe Purnell, and the very hardworking project team. Also, good morning and salutations to the resource persons that are joining us this morning, as well as the UNICEF Philippines education team. Big welcome to the National Orientation on Mobile Technology for Teachers. This 5-day training program is very timely, we think, at UNICEF, since digital literacy and e-citizenship are globally considered as crucial competencies for work readiness, along with the 4 C's of the 21st century skills: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. At UNICEF Philippines, we've done a recent study on the barriers to access and learning among vulnerable adolescents, and ICT skills have been identified and cited as ALS learners by one of the core competencies areas that they would like to gain. In the same vein, employers always mention ICT skills as a requisite competency among job applicants. So the importance of it, I think, is clear both by the side of the learners as well as the market. I'm quite new to the Philippines, but one of the first things that I learned is that the Philippines is really the social networking capital of the world, with 83% of Filipinos surveyed being members of a social network, spending an average of 4 hours a day on social media. The surge in demand for online communication, distance learning, remote work, and e-commerce during the pandemic has shown us that ICT can indeed be utilized to benefit the general public. At the same time, this proliferation of social media in the country has also exposed the citizens to fake news, cyberbullying, plagiarism, and other similar dangers and risks. In fact, the country is considered as a global hotspot for online child sexual exploitation. This is why we need to remember that in order to be able to truly harness the potentials of ICT, e-citizens must have the capacity to manage these dangers and risks in order to maximize ICT-supported opportunities for learning, empowerment, and participation. Along this line, this initiative today, that is starting today, contributes to the current efforts of ALS in curating learning resources and adopting instructional strategies for the ALS learning strand on digital citizenship, which is a new addition to the enhanced ALS K-12 basic education curriculum finalized in 2019. I want to wish the participants well for this training program and this journey and to enjoy it, to learn from the resource persons and materials provided, and activate really actively and participate in the discussions and tasks and apply these in their ALS learning sessions. UNICEF Philippines continues to support ALS in different ways. This particular training program contributes to efforts in innovating the overall capacity building program for ALS implementers in order to improve ALS delivery and effectiveness for learners. Thank you, participants, for your enthusiasm and your openness to learn and innovate. I wish you, on behalf of UNICEF, a great week ahead. Thank you.
Okay, good morning to everyone, and let me greet our program partners from the Department of Education, headed by ASEC G.H. Ambat, the lead official for the Alternative Learning System, and of course the DepEd ALS Task Force, our partners from UNICEF, headed by Mr. Besad Nobari, the Deputy Country Representative, of course our nationwide network of ALS implementers, comprising of our ALS teachers, who now number, I believe, about 8,000 or 9,000 teachers, our district ALS coordinators, our school district supervisors, our education program supervisors responsible for the ALS program, both at the division and the regional level, and of course, my colleagues in Simeo Inotech. Again, good morning to everyone. This event, the National Orientation on the MT4T for ALS implementers, represents the convergence of two important areas of work of Simeo Inotech. Simeo Inotech, over its 50 years of existence, has undertaken work on alternative learning system and alternative delivery mode. Notable among this many years of involvement was our work in the original ALS program way back in the 1990s, which was an important component of the National Education for All program. At that time, we can consider that as the ALS 1.0. And at that time, we were heavily involved in the development of the accreditation and equivalency program, its curriculum, and the different A&E modules which were developed to support the ALS curriculum. And this involvement in the ALS program continues up to now in the review of the ALS curriculum and its eventual reformulation, the review of the implementing components of the ALS program. Simeo Inotech has been providing technical assistance to the Department of Education. Our work on mobile technology actually dates back to the early 2000s. I don't know whether you will call the text-to-teach program, wherein the cell phones were used to be able to bring video lessons to classrooms in thousands of schools throughout the country. But it was in our eighth five-year development plan where we really recognized the potentials of mobile technology. And it was in the eighth five-year development plan, which covered 2011 to 2016, that we started our work on the mobile technology for teachers. We started with, using the mobile technology for the professional development of our teachers, for their personal enhancement. Then this move on to mobile technology for teaching and learning. Later on, we moved into e-citizenship, cyber wellness, and then now digital citizenship. So this work continued even up to now. So we've had about 7 or 8 years of experience in developing the mobile technology for teachers. And this work will continue even in our successor 10th five-year development plan under the broad program on digital technology for education. And so we truly believe in the potentials of mobile technology. And more specifically, of course, under the ALS program, as was mentioned earlier, there is a strand on digital citizenship. And therefore, it is important before our ALS implementers can develop the digital citizenship of our learners. I think it's very important that our ALS implementers are able to develop their own digital citizenship values. So, we also recognize that, at this under the present circumstances that we find ourselves in, the use of mobile devices, digital literacy, digital citizenship has really been recognized as a very important element of our learning system. Under the CMU program, under one of the 7 priorities, the adopting a 21st century curriculum, the development of digital skills, the use of digital tools is one of the important elements. And in the recent ministerial conference of our education ministers in the ASEAN region, under the new work plan on education, the digital literacy and the use of digital skills is one of the important areas. And so we are embarking on this national orientation on the MT4T for ALS implementers to be able to help the Department of Education, specifically the ALS implementers at the field level, to develop their digital skills and to be able to enhance also their digital citizenship. We hope that you will take advantage of this 5-day program, which we are implementing in collaboration with UNICEF and the Department of Education. This is a NAIAP recognized program, and so it's very important to fully take advantage of it, because that will certainly help you in your career advancement within the DepEd bureaucracy. So let me just wish everyone a very successful event, 5 days, and we hope that you will be fully engaged throughout the duration of this important program. Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone.
Thank you so much, honored guests, for the warm welcome and the inspiring words for our ALS trainers and implementers, which highlight the significance of this national orientation. ASECMBAT emphasized the need for new tools to navigate the internet in this age in order to be more productive and safer. Mr. Nubari revealed that ICT is one of the core competencies that ALS learners would like to gain. And of course, our director, thank you so much for acknowledging everyone and telling us how MT4T has been helping educators in Southeast Asia for 7 years now, and how this is so much more important today for our ALS implementers. Okay. Our guests acknowledge that while digital technologies present great opportunities for learning, they also pose very real risks. MT4T will help prepare our ALS implementers to responsibly use the internet and safely enjoy its benefits. I hope you're all excited to learn more about responsible digital citizenship through the 2 webinars and asynchronous discussions. Welcome again, everyone, to the National Orientation Program on Mobile Technology for Teachers, MT4T 2.0 for DepEd ALS implementers. We are live at the DepEd ALS 2.0 Facebook page and CMEO Inotech YouTube channel. If you're watching through one of these channels, do not forget to hit like, share the live stream, and to tag your colleagues at the comment section below so they can join us and learn with you. Now, to give you a brief insight on what this national orientation is all about, we have prepared a short explainer video, Teaching Digital Citizenship in the 21st Century. We hope this video gives you a big picture of what the webinar and this whole program is all about. According to Digital 2020, 67% of Filipinos use the internet. The number grows with each passing year. MT4T is designed to equip educators to take advantage of the opportunities while reducing the risks that the internet offers to all Filipinos. There is so much more to say than just one video, and MT4T is much bigger than that. So, to give you more, we have Ms. Ori Atienza Santos, Senior Associate of Simeo Inotech and Project Manager of the MT4T program.
Good morning. I'm Ori Atienza Santos, and I'm with the Educational Research and Innovations Office of Simeo Inotech. My presentation this morning will cover three things. First, I'll talk about the resources that comprise Mobile Technology for Teachers, or MT4T. Then I'll go over the general contents of an MT4T ebook. And lastly, I'll talk about the importance of information privacy, adjusting privacy settings, and creating positive digital footprint. Throughout the past decade, the number of internet users grew much faster than the global population. In 2018 alone, the world's population grew at 1.1%, whereas the number of internet users grew at 9.1%, or more than 367 million users. With the global pandemic this year, this figure will definitely be much higher. From the same study, out of 4.388 billion active internet users, about 91% are accessing the internet from their mobile phones. Before, hardly anyone could access the internet from their phones. In 2007, less than 5% of the world's population could do that. By 2018, 90% of Southeast Asia's internet users connect to the internet using their cell phones. And Filipinos beat everyone else around the world in terms of time spent on the internet in 2019, with an average of 10 hours per day, and most likely this year it's way longer. The reality is many teachers, who is referred to by Mark Prensky as digital immigrants, may not be so confident in using internet applications. They are not born in the digital era, and while they are trying to use new technologies every day, the learning process could still be a struggle. They may not be well prepared to suitably guide, mentor, and coach their learners to productively and responsibly use new technologies. And this is where MT4T comes in. MT4T is a combination of web resources focused on enriching the perspectives of teachers on the many uses and possibilities of mobile technology for enhancing their own 21st century skills, their adeptness in using mobile technologies for their professional needs, and enhancing their higher order thinking skills as well as that of their learners. Specifically, MT4T intends to bridge the competency gap between digital natives and digital immigrants, provide resources on mobile technologies and digital citizenship, which can be applied in the classrooms and for their personal and professional activities, enhance acquisition of 21st century skills, and help them and their learners develop HOTS. MT4T has a set of ebooks accessible from a website and an e-reader application. It also has other resources like learning packets, instructional videos, podcasts, infographics, and user guides. Most of MT4T's resources can be accessed from a website. Just go to www.simeo-inotech.org/MT4T. And once the page loads on your screen, you can browse through the list of available ebooks, tutorial videos on Facebook, Edmodo, and Twitter, and join discussions on the forum. You may also download from here several user guides and infographics. Apart from the website, MT4T can also be found in Facebook through its community page. Another MT4T resource is Simeo Inotech Reader. It's a universal e-reader application, and Inotech subcontracted the development of this for ease of reading the MT4T ebooks. It's available in 3 mobile platforms: Android, iOS, and Windows. The app is free and can easily be downloaded from online app stores. The SI Reader for Android come in 2 builds, one for tablets and the other for smartphones. The minimum OS requirement for Android tablets is 4.1 or Jelly Bean, and the recommended Android OS is 9.0 or Pi. The minimum internal storage is 16 gig, while the maximum is 32 gig. RAM should be at least 2 gig and preferably at 4 gig. For smartphones, the minimum OS requirement is 4.4 or KitKat, which is and with at least 16 gig of internal storage and 2 gig RAM and a screen resolution of 5.5 inches. The SI reader for Apple mobile devices also come in two builds, one for iPads and another for iPhones. For the reader to efficiently work on an iPad mini, the recommended is iOS 12 with 32 gig internal storage and 2 gig RAM. For iPhones, the recommended is iOS 11 and above with similar internal storage and RAM as with the iPads, which are 32 gig and 2 gig respectively. The SI reader for Windows has only one build for tablets, smartphones, laptops, and desktops, running Windows 10 with an internal storage of 256 gig and 8 gig RAM. Some of the features of the e-reader include different font types, sizes, and colors. You can also adjust the brightness of the screen. You can also create bookmarks and write or make notations on an ebook using a pen and a highlighter. Now, these are the set of MT4T ebooks. About half of this promote the use of social media for education. Some of these come in 2 or 3 versions that are mobile platform specific. The main ebook introduces the MT4T project, its technical conceptual framework, and the key concepts and themes related to using mobile technology to promote the development of higher order thinking skills. The e-citizenship guidebook provides data on ICT, particularly mobile devices and the internet, with focus on digital safety, security, and privacy. The Introduction to Teachers' Personal and Professional Learning Networks introduces personal and professional learning networks for teachers and how such networks can be started, expanded, and sustained through mobile devices, collaborative apps, and social media. The uses and functionalities of mobile devices provides the latest uses and functionalities of Android and Apple mobile devices like smartphones and tablets. The ebook suggests many applications that will support teachers' work productivity and their personal and professional development. The annotated resources for teachers provides a wide selection of online resources relevant to 21st century learning, 21st century tools, higher order thinking skills, and digital citizenship that teachers can check while exploring the use of technologies and mobile devices. LinkedIn for Teachers provide guidance in using LinkedIn as a platform to establish and expand teachers' professional learning network and as a tool to showcase their professional expertise and experience and accomplishments. Twitter for Teachers provides step-by-step instructions on using Twitter. It promotes Twitter as an effective communication tool and platform for establishing professional learning networks. Now, Blogging for Teachers is an ebook that demonstrates how blogging through WordPress can be considered as a valuable tool in teaching and learning, as well as in promoting professional works of teachers. It provides guidance in setting up a blog account and offers tips on how to become a successful blogger. Edmodo for Teachers provides detailed instruction and guides on using Edmodo. It promotes the use of Edmodo as an ideal platform to hold online classes in a controlled environment, where parents can also monitor their children's performance. Facebook for Teachers demonstrates how Facebook can be used as a tool for collaborative teaching, learning, knowledge exchange, and networking. It also intends to showcase how teachers can use Facebook to facilitate the development of higher order thinking skills in themselves and among their students. Across these MT4T ebooks, highlighted are the key concepts and themes that comprise higher order thinking skills, which is a core competency for digital natives and digital citizens. By using HOTS, both teachers and learners in Southeast Asia will be able to optimize and take advantage of the use of advanced technology in developing their personal and professional careers and be at par with other developing countries in the region. The contents of the ebooks, particularly those on social media, were organized to provide appropriate instructions and guidance to teachers with different levels of understanding and experience in mobile technology. Under basic and intermediate users, content is focused more on using basic functions and features of the mobile devices or social networking applications. For advanced and expert users, there are more discussions and web resources on advanced level applications of said features to introduce netiquette, promote hats, and enrich experiences on and know-how for professional and personal development. MT4T has developed and continues to develop digestible materials in the form of infographics that highlight significant information called out from the ebooks. Lastly, there are user guides from the web forum for the web forum and the different fields of the e-reader applications. I've already presented the resources that comprises MT4T, and I'll move on to my next topic, which focuses on the contents of MT4T ebooks. MT4T ebooks were specially designed to provide teachers with in-depth discussion on social media's use in education. Unique to these ebooks are curated information on how to maximize social media for classroom teaching and learning, for promoting the development of higher order thinking, skills, and values, and enhancing professional growth. One example of this is an article from an English subject teacher cited in the ebook Twitter for Teachers. Teacher Erin Miller recommends using Twitter for teachers' professional growth. She claims that through Twitter, teachers not only learn more about classroom teaching, but also keeps informed about important educational trends and issues and getting fresh perspectives when reading tweets from teachers of all ages and nationalities who are also on Twitter. MT4T ebooks also contain information on proper etiquette. Etiquette refers to proper behavior and standard decorum that are followed with different settings. Social networking etiquette is no different from social behavior. The following are just some curated information included in the MT4T ebooks. On Twitter, remember that everything you tweet should add value to the people who follow you. Related to this is do not just tweet headlines and links. If you want to add value, pull out some interesting quotes from a relevant article you want to retweet. Do not overuse hashtags in your tweets. Limit it to no more than 3 hashtags. A follow back is nice but not required. Do not feel obliged to follow everyone who follows you or frequently comments on your tweets. Suggested about LinkedIn, remember that it's strictly for professionals. You should maintain professional behavior at all times. Do not send a mass request for recommendations and endorsements. Better to reach out individually to people who are familiar with your work and make a request. No personal updates, pictures of your pet, thoughts about life, and prayers. Leave those types of updates on Facebook and Twitter. Update your profile photo. If you're using the same photo you had when you first joined LinkedIn, upload a new one. Be accurate with your work information. Though you want to present yourself, your best self on LinkedIn, avoid potentially embarrassing situations by putting blatant inaccuracies. Avoid oversharing. Remember, you are a professional who has things to do. No need to post 20 times per day. On Edmodo, proper etiquette should be observed when posting and replying to messages. These include not using all capital letters for posts as it looks like you're screaming. Do not use multiple exclamation points or question marks. Please, please, please do not repeat a word more than necessary. When in doubt, do not post as it's probably not okay. When you are blogging, there are also norms or rules to follow. Be polite. If you have nothing good to say, better keep it to yourself. Ask permission before using photos that you did not take. Do not post too often. Updating your blog with new posts is ideal, but do not overwhelm readers to keep their interest and maintain the impact of each blog post. Accept constructive criticism, but ignore messages that are borderline destructive. On Facebook, probably one of the most fundamental rules is to carefully consider whom you friend or connect with. All the people you associate with may reflect on you. Message private matters instead of posting. The walls indeed have ears, especially on Facebook wall. Best to keep private conversations using messaging apps. Be mindful of what you post. Updating your status with a general statement may seem harmless to you, but others may read it in a different light. Reply to comments, especially if they are questions. When you post a status, the least you can do is to acknowledge comments by replying something. Do not vent about your work. Even with your most stringent privacy settings, there's still a risk that what you post can reach people you wouldn't want it to reach. Play safe and leave your venting to somewhere private. There's still a lot more relevant, valuable discussion and insightful information that can be found in the MT4T ebooks. We invite you to check this one by one and discover for yourself just how much more you can gain from accessing these educational resources. Now I'm on to my last topic, which is on information privacy in social media. My sharing will also be lifted from the MT4T ebooks, which contain sections on this. Another valuable information that you can find in the MT4T ebooks are discussions on how information privacy is important, even when you're on social media. In the ebooks are discussions that encourage teachers to find information on the privacy policies of different social media platforms and carefully examine how your social media activity impacts on your privacy. Twitter collects data on all your actions and the information you share while using its platform. When you use Twitter, it also receives some information of your personal information, and it uses that. When you upload and sync your address book, Twitter uses this information to recommend content to you and others. It discloses your personal data at your discretion, like when you authorize third-party applications to access your account. In case Twitter files for bankruptcy, the sale of assets may include your personal data or transfer this as part of the transaction. LinkedIn uses your activities to help others find and connect with you and vice versa. It collects personal data that you provide, post, or upload on its platform, like when you respond to a survey or fill out a job application form. It makes your personal information available to others through notifications. It gets information about your network and device, including IP address, operating system, web browsers, and mobile carrier. Edmodo is a secure social learning platform. It's safe and provides easy means for learners to connect, collaborate, and share content with one another. However, when you use Edmodo, just like any online platform, it collects data and it manages it from its users. It collects and manages data from its users. The information it gathers enables Edmodo to personalize and improve its services. When you update personal information, Edmodo keeps a backup copy of prior versions for a reasonable period of time to enable reversion or restoring of data. In blogs, usually those that post a lot of selfies are the most successful. There's nothing wrong with that, but avoid anything too identifying. For example, consider cropping or blurring photos of the front of your house or your car plates. Being too open with information about you and your life puts you at risk of stalking. No one really thinks that this could happen, and yet it does happen to many. Secure permission of your learners and colleagues before posting information related to them. You could expose them to unwanted attention. Since Facebook has launched, it has been a target of criticism regarding its approach to user privacy. If you don't change the privacy settings of your Facebook account, your Facebook status, the posts you make, the photos and videos you upload, meaning it's set on public, visible to anyone, even those who are not part of your friends list, then these can be used, copied, and pasted elsewhere without you knowing it. Another good thing about the MT4T ebooks are the step-by-step guides on how teachers can adjust the privacy settings of their accounts on Twitter, LinkedIn, Edmodo, WordPress, and Facebook. Digital footprint is any information about yourself that you leave online. Being aware of how your online actions influence the future is something that must always be considered. It can affect people's perceptions of you and possibly your own emotions. An internet safety program in the United Kingdom and Australia called Think You Know proposes 5 questions to ask yourself before posting anything online. Of these 5 questions, I would like to recommend just one question that I hope you can easily remember and think about every time you want to post online. That question is about the billboard test. So you ask yourself, if this information were put on a billboard for all to see, would I still be okay with it? If you answered yes to that, then maybe you can be sure about creating a positive digital footprint. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you so much, Miss Ori. Next, we will show you the Simeo digital etiquette video, which Simeo Inotech produced as part of a Simeo massive open online course on global digital literacy, conducted earlier this year.
Hi, this is Louis Plaza. I would like to pick up the phone that I bought online from your store.
Good morning, Sir Louis. May I have your confirmation code, please?
It's 357973001.
Okay, let me repeat that. 3579730001. All right, I can see that you purchased the Pineapple X. What time would you like to pick it up?
In about an hour?
All right, sir. Just approach our customer service staff and we'll have your Pineapple phone ready. By the way, sir, would you like to avail of our recent promotion?
Oh, what is it?
Would you like your phone to come with an etiquette?
A what?
An etiquette.
What do you mean, etiquette?
Etiquette, sir. Meaning the standards to follow when using digital technology like the Pineapple X phone. In other words, manners.
Oh, sure. I'd love to have manners.
If only technology use comes with etiquette, right? The etiquette part of technology use is what we bring in. Etiquette is one of those things that technology cannot automate. With technology comes new ways of doing things. Information is shared easily, in fact, instantaneously. And the potential for wider reach of information to a bigger audience is there. Technology also allows a certain degree of anonymity, if we so desire. With these potentials comes the challenges. While young people are really good at technology, perhaps even better than their teachers, most of them are more adept at using it for entertainment or social networking. But for purposes such as education, helping others, or even nation building, perhaps not so much. That is both a challenge and an opportunity for us teachers. Our role then as teachers is more than just teaching manners. It's also about teaching them for a higher purpose and being more responsible. As teachers, it is our responsibility to now model digital etiquette to our students. Much of the standards of digital etiquette is the same as in face-to-face interaction. People just tend to make a distinction or create a notion that they can do away with it, probably because digital technology had made it easier for them to do. The idea of respect for oneself, for others, and the community is constant, whether through face-to-face interaction or through the digital world. Respect for oneself, staying positive, not spreading negativity, and not posting anything that you may regret in the future. Protecting your privacy. These are all manifestations of showing respect for yourself in the digital world. Respect for others and the community involves being aware of how you interact or engage with other people using digital technologies.
One important element attached to respect and etiquette is socio-emotional skills. This includes self-management or self-regulation, self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. On the digital world, we're now very much connected, especially through social media, blogs, video games, online forums, avenues like these. However, with all these technology available to us, with just a click of a button, it's easy to forget that behind these social media accounts or online game avatars, there are real persons with feelings, families, goals, values, and aspirations. The anonymity offered by the internet can sometimes make us act in careless and insensitive ways. This is why self-management or regulation is very important. Together with self-regulation is the skill of self-awareness or being able to reflect upon one's own actions. Social awareness and relationship skills, on the other hand, are important in predicting and detecting how others might feel or react to your words or actions online. These skills will help people prevent cyberbullying, trolling, cyberstalking, and other negative digital engagements. Basically, these skills allow people to make responsible decisions online. Instead of just saying, don't do this or don't do that online to your students, you can create positive activities and discussions to engage students in talking about these topics. Digital etiquette also highlights the importance of empathy. This concept of empathy is very much related to self-awareness and self-regulation. Basically, empathy is being able to understand and consider the feelings of other people. It's being able to put yourself in the shoes of other people. It allows us to see what we are doing in the eyes of other people that we communicate or interact with. Practicing empathy in the digital world can be so much harder. One, because digital technology offers anonymity, and also you don't get immediate feedback nor any sense of consequence. That's why it's easy to hide behind technology. Cyberbullying is actually one of the biggest concerns or challenge faced by schools today in relation to digital technology. Cyberbullying, in its most basic terms, is using ICT to upset or even harass someone online. Cyberbullying can include harassment, stalking, rumor spreading, defaming, belittling, trolling. These are all examples of cyberbullying. I think this is what happens when people fail to demonstrate and observe digital etiquette. In an instance of cyberbullying, you can either be the perpetrator or the bully, the victim or the target. You can be a bystander, someone who just watches and decides to do nothing, or an upstander, someone who steps up and decides to fight for what she or he thinks is right. Analyzing an instance of cyberbullying and deciding who you're going to be, the role you're going to play, actually requires critical skills. And these in themselves are critical skills, and they're all part of digital etiquette.
Digital etiquette and the use of technology go together. It's not a choice between one or the other. In fact, digital technology can improve the way we engage with people. This is both a challenge and an opportunity for teachers. Technology is so prevalent that teachers and students are learning it at the same time. There's also the challenge that since students are digital natives, what we, the older generation, perceive of as poor digital etiquette are actually perceived differently by the students. We have recognized this, and so in Simeo Inotech, we have developed a set of tools called Mobile Technology for Teachers, or MT4T. And these include a material that discusses digital etiquette.
I hope you are learning a lot from this webinar. And if you are, be sure to invite your friends by sharing the live stream and by tagging them on the comments section below so they can join us and learn with you. For our key trainers, we can see your greetings, but please make sure to change the address to all panelists and attendees so everyone can see your greeting. If you have questions, you can post them using the Zoom Q&A button below. And if you are watching live on Facebook or YouTube, place your questions on the live comments. And since you're able to watch this live stream, I'm sure you're familiar with Facebook and other social media platforms. And of course, you have seen how these can be so useful for our daily life. It can be a powerful tool that we can use for our benefit. Social media can be a power tool for you too, ALS implementers. To tell you more in detail, we have our second facilitator, Benedict Santos, Project Senior Associate of Simeo Inotech, who will show you how various social media platforms can be used for remote teaching and learning.
Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Again, welcome to the National Orientation Program on MT4T for ALS implementers. I am Benedict Santos from the Educational Innovations Unit of Simeo Inotech. For this session, we will talk about how teachers can take advantage of social media for education and professional development. So there is a host of digital tools online available to teachers and students, from digital libraries to citation generators. And these are obviously relevant for education. Why then do we talk about social media as a tool for education? Well, primarily because social media applications and websites are viable platforms that can enhance and support teaching, learning, and professional development. I'm sure that many of us, if not all, use social media to connect with distant family members, friends, and even colleagues, especially now that many of us are homebound for most of the time because of the pandemic. We check in on one another and get updated about the lives of others through social media chat and uh, social media groups. It is quite apparent then that social media can facilitate meaningful interactions. In education, a lot of interaction between teachers and students is necessary to move the learning process forward. In a remote learning setup, both teachers and students can find social media a reliable tool to keep in touch with each other and discuss certain concerns. Teachers can make themselves available online for coaching or consultation sessions. In fact, some class requirements can be submitted through social media chat or groups. Students can collaborate on group assignments through chat, and even among teachers, social media can be a venue for mutual support and sharing of best practices. So these are just some of the things that I'm sure many of us are already doing. So what we need is to integrate social media in a more meaningful and purposive manner. There are no rigid rules when using social media for education, except, of course, for proper etiquette, which should always be observed. Social media is flexible enough to suit a variety of educational activities and purposes. Of course, it can't substitute for everything, but it can support learning objectives through many of its features. Later, I will talk about these features further. The digital divide across the country is still a challenge, but as smartphones and data connection become more and more affordable, more and more Filipinos in turn will have easy access to the internet and social media. We know that the major telco companies offer free access to Facebook, so definitely that is an opportunity that educators can ride on. In the country, 67% of our population has access to the mobile internet, according to the We Are Social 2020 digital report. In the same study, the Philippines ranked at the top for spending the most time on the internet. Filipinos ages 16 to 64 use mobile internet for 5 hours a day on average, despite the slow speed of connection and the relatively high cost of data in the country. Majority of Filipinos love to be online. Many Filipinos, in fact, have social media accounts. And like I said, this is how we connect with other people through social media. This is how we promote products, engage customers, shop for items, follow interests, and do other activities. I hazard that it's a central part of our digital lives. Social media is a familiar tool for many, and it offers a lot of possibilities to support education, especially now when we are confronted with challenges in ensuring learning continuity during the pandemic. More importantly, digital skills are key competencies for 21st century education, and being able to integrate technology into the learning process in a meaningful and purposive manner will enable teachers and students alike to get a deeper understanding of the role of technology in education and go beyond merely using technology for the sake of using it. So, social media platforms provide an array of tools to choose from. I suggest that you think of it as a menu of different features to choose from, which you can mix and match to support and enhance learning experience. So you need not be limited to any one platform. These are tools at your disposal. So acquaint yourself with the differences of these applications so that you get a sense of which features of which applications best suit your objectives as an educator. Of course, taking into account the access issues of your students. So the same goes for when you initiate learning sessions or activities with co-teachers. For example, a Facebook group is an online community where your students can interact with your supervision. In deciding whether Facebook is the right platform for you, compare it with, for example, an Edmodo group. If students have limited access to data, then probably Facebook is a better option since it can be accessed for free, but with certain limitations. So social media can facilitate the exchange of resources and sharing of digital content. As mentioned earlier, groups can also be used for collaboration among students on group assignments. So the private messaging feature of social media can also be used to connect with parents to discuss school concerns about their children. The another feature is the polling feature of social media apps. It's another tool that can come in handy. You can use polls to quickly and easily gather feedback, opinions, and responses from students. Another social media platform is Edmodo. It's specifically designed for education. It allows teachers to connect with students, share materials, administer quizzes, create assignments, and collaborate with other teachers. So other features are assignment submission, polling, virtual classrooms, and class management. So social media can also support the development of what are called as higher order thinking skills or HOT. So higher order thinking skills focus on the top three levels of Bloom's taxonomy of learning. So these are analyzing, evaluating, and creating. And these are recognized as essential elements of 21st century learning. One of the main goals of educators today is to teach students how to be critical thinkers. Instead of simply memorizing facts and ideas, students need to engage in higher levels of thinking to reach their fullest potential. Promoting HOTS in schools will equip students with the cognitive tools that they need to understand, infer, connect, categorize, synthesize, evaluate, and apply information. One easy way to do this is to begin a conversation on social media about a problem and ask students to research on the issue using the internet to provide potential solutions. In participating in the discussion, try to encourage students to make use of the different features of social media. So students might want to share links to resources they found online which support their position or add photos that illustrate the issue. Social media can also benefit teachers in terms of their professional development. For one, social media platforms let you reach out to colleagues on the internet in real time for advice on things such as planning a lesson, overcoming a classroom management problem, or helping students with disabilities. Being connected through social networking sites such as Facebook is a great opportunity for growth. Social media opens doors, new and exciting opportunities for professional development through collaboration and knowledge exchange. Right now, there are so many webinars like what we are having now that teachers can join to widen their knowledge and improve their competencies. So while we use social media for education, we should always be mindful about keeping ourselves and our students safe and secure. Check and accordingly adjust the privacy and security settings of your social media accounts and remind students to regularly change their passwords and log out of their accounts when using public computers. Also, remind students to report any abusive interactions they encounter online and to block offensive users. And finally, remind students to be safe, ethical, and productive digital citizens. To learn more about the specific uses of social media for education, download the MT4T ebooks through the MT4T web portal at www.simeo-inotech.org/MT4T or through the free Simeo Inotech Reader application available for Apple devices, Android phones, and Windows tablets. So that's it. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Okay. Hi again. So earlier I mentioned polling as one of the features of social media platforms that you can use for educational purposes. For the next 10 minutes, I'll briefly talk about what polling is, and we will all be trying out this feature live. So participants watching on Facebook Live and Zoom will be answering two poll questions in a bit. Okay, so this isn't the live poll yet, but on your own, try to answer the question on the screen. So, which online application has a polling feature? Okay, so just try to answer the question on your own. So actually, all of them have a polling feature. As for option D, Mentimeter, Polling is actually an integral part of the service that it offers. Okay. As I mentioned, you can use polls to quickly and easily gather feedback, opinions, and responses from students. The poll feature of most social media and educational platforms is easy to use. It's easy to set up and conduct a poll. You just need to have a question ready and provide a list of possible answers. You then post or send the poll to a group or a group chat. So a poll can be used to ask students questions about anything school related. So about their homework, class topics, opinions on a reading assignment, or insights about anything you're learning in class. Their responses are then turned into an easy to read bar graph for most social media sites for quick interpretation. So polls can be made anonymous if the question calls for it. Like regular posts, a poll can be scheduled on websites like Facebook and Edmodo. So you can actually do this while you plan out your lesson plans. Okay, so now we move on to the more interactive part of the session. So participants from both Facebook Live and Zoom will be answering the same two poll questions. However, Facebook and Zoom participants will not be able to answer simultaneously. We'll do Facebook first and then Zoom. I'll be reading each question and then Facebook participants will be given a minute to answer. So you are to select one answer only from the choices. So again, just one answer from the choices. For our Zoom participants, you will be given a minute to answer both questions. So as I read the questions for our Facebook participants, try to think of your answers already. The Zoom polling works a bit differently, so both questions will be flashed on your screens at the same time. That's also why we can't do Facebook and Zoom simultaneously. Okay, so I hope that's clear for everyone. We will now go to question one. Okay, for question one, we have 8 answer choices. Again, you only pick one. So the question is, what are the difficulties you encountered in delivering education to ALS learners during this COVID-19 pandemic? So more than one answer can be applicable to you, but choose only one that is most difficult for you. Okay, let me read the answers. So A, learning new modalities in teaching and remote learning. B, limited access to necessary ICT equipment for blended learning. C, poor quality slash unstable slash inaccessible internet connection. D, insufficient copies of printed self-learning materials for ALS. E, difficulty in communicating with remote ALS learners. F, limited options for conducting learner assessment and providing feedback on learning progress. G, feeling of isolation or lack of support from peers or supervisors. And last option, H, fear of getting sick when visiting learners slash communities. Okay, so the question should now be flashed on your screen. Uh, Timer starts now. Okay, so please key in your answers. Again, for the Zoom participants, you will be answering the poll questions after the participants from the Facebook Live answer. So just wait for your turn for our Zoom participants. Okay, so time is up. We'll now go to the second question. For this question, we have seven answer choices. Again, let me read the question and answers to you. What major adjustments have you done during this pandemic to help ALS learners continue learning? A, exerting more money, time, and effort attending webinars to build my knowledge and skills in remote teaching and learning. B, spending a lot of time online via computer, tablet, smartphone to reach out to ALS learners through social media, messenger applications, SMS, and others. C, taking the risk of going out in the community to deliver and retrieve the modules for ALS learners. D, developing or gathering additional supplemental learning materials for my ALS learners. E, supporting ALS learners remotely to develop comprehensive learning portfolios. F, using my own personal money to support remote learning. For example, printing of materials, internet costs, home visits. And finally, G, coordinating with the formal school system to access resources and support for my ALS learners. So again, you are to choose only one answer. Okay. The second question should now be flashed on your screen for our Facebook Live participants. Timer starts now. Okay. Uh, so now it's the turn of our Zoom participants to answer. The two questions will be displayed on your screens and you will be given a minute to answer both questions. So are you ready? I hope you are. Okay. So I'll start the timer. Okay. So in a bit, we'll be sharing the results of the Facebook Live poll with you. Um, so like I said, the polling feature is a quick way to take the pulse of your students about anything school related. You can get the results immediately, which can inform your decision making for class purposes. So here are the results. For the first question, um, what is your topmost difficulty in delivering education to ALS learners? For A, 9% of our participants, 9% of our participants answered A. 31% answered B. 30% answered C. 30% answered D. Next slide. Okay. For the second question, 12% answered A, 15% answered B. What's that? 64 or 58%. Uh, it, okay. Answered C, and um, okay. For letter D, 17%. Okay. 17% answered D. Okay, so the results of these polls will be relayed to the ALS task force for decision-making purposes. So there, I hope that the short exercise got you excited to try the polling feature if you haven't yet. Thank you.
Okay, I hope Ben encouraged you to use social media to your advantage as an educator. We hope you have learned a lot from this webinar, and we have more to learn later. By the way, for those who are asking, all MT4T materials are easily and freely available at our website, www.simeo-inotech/MT4T. The video recording of this webinar will be available at the DepEd ALS 2.0 Facebook page and Simeo Inotech's YouTube channel a few minutes after our live streaming. With that, we have seen session 1, and now we'll have a few minutes of intermission while we prepare ourselves for session 2. So don't leave just yet, but use this time to take a break and brace yourself for more learning. The time now is 10:26. And we'll continue by 10:30. See you in a bit. We'll be right back. And we're back. I hope you're ready for more. If you have friends who are interested to join, tell them that they can still catch up. So tag them at the comment section below. And of course, share the live stream. Again, we have Ben for you, and he will share about the Twitter activity that our participants did.
Hello again, everyone. For this part of the program, we will be talking about how Twitter can be used for educational purposes. I will also be sharing the project team's experience in using Twitter to gather responses from some of our ALS implementers during the pre-orientation week. So Twitter, like other social media platforms, can also be used as an educational tool for sharing information, resources, and best practices in the classroom. Students can also use Twitter for collaborating on group homework and disseminating information. Some of its features include private messaging, polling, very recently, stories, and bookmarking. But of course, Twitter is most famous for its short profile updates called tweets. So, tweets are short messages consisting of no more than 280 characters. So, because of this, Twitter is also known as a micro blogging site. So, nuggets of information that can fit within the character limit are what you can find and expect on Twitter. Photos, videos, music, and web links can be attached to a tweet. So, tweet is also a verb. Tweeting is how you send messages or tweets to your followers. Let me just add that the character limit can actually be a useful feature for teachers, especially when you want to elicit key insights from students. So the character limit will encourage students to write about the most important ideas they got from any lesson. So specifically, Twitter can be useful for educators for the following reasons. So you can find and share resources on Twitter, whatever learning material you need to come up with. Chances are you will find something on Twitter from another teacher, which might be just what you need and might even be something you wouldn't think of yourself. Being on Twitter is also an opportunity for you to embrace new ideas. On Twitter, you can find teachers from different backgrounds who advocate for different teaching styles or classroom management approaches. Uh, Take advantage of the rich discussions and see how you can improve as an educator. So news agencies, government officials, academicians, many of them are on Twitter. By following credible personalities and organizations, you can also stay informed about current events and updates that you may find interesting. Twitter can also provide you with a fresh perspective on things if you keep your mind open. So it can be a venue for lively and healthy discussion with other educators from around the world. Before I proceed to the next part of my presentation, I again would like to take a moment to talk about privacy and security on Twitter. So it's a public space online where strangers can have access to your information. So it's important to make sure that whatever you put out there will not compromise your physical and digital safety. So uh, have some tips to tighten your privacy and security on Twitter. First, edit your profile page. Do not include any information that you're not comfortable sharing with the public or your followers. Next, manage security settings. So create a strong password and enable two-factor authentication. So two-factor authentication is a security feature of Twitter and other social media platforms where you will be asked to provide a login code sent to another device in addition to your password every time you log in. If you get harassed, you can block the person and report her or him to Twitter. If you get spam messages, you can report this to Twitter as well as a violation of the community rules. You may also disable the geotagging feature of Twitter if you don't want to share your location with your followers. Next, protect your tweets by making your profile private. So only followers that you approve will be able to see your tweets. Finally, in connection with managing your security settings, be sure to change your password regularly. Okay, so now I'll share with you our experience in using Twitter for collaborative work and gathering responses from select orientation participants. So during the past week, we asked orientation participants to join an online activity on Twitter, which we called Twitter Stories. So the mechanics were simple. Participants were asked to tweet about the daily life of an ALS mobile teacher. They were all encouraged to attach photos, videos, or web links that illustrate the tweet or message. Finally, and this was an important part, participants were asked to use the hashtag day in the life underscore ALS at the end of their tweets. So using the hashtag was crucial for us because that would be the means to locate and gather the responses from participants. Participants did not have to send their responses to any one particular person or account. They just had to use the hashtag, which allowed the team to collect their tweets. So all of you can do a similar activity with your students. This is a great way to engage your students and make the activity very interactive. It also works well when you want your students to communicate certain messages or ideas with a broader audience. In our case, we were not only able to provide our participants with a hands-on experience in using Twitter for educational purposes, but we're also able to highlight in the Twitter community the daily lives of our ALS implementers on the field. So these are the responses that we got. So one aspect of our ALS implementers work that was highlighted was all this preparatory work. So from promoting ALS to potential learners and mobilizing stakeholders to the daily grind of having to prepare learning materials and attending capacity building activities for professional development. So we see that even before our ALS teachers step into the classroom, there is already considerable amount of work that they had to do to effectively deliver their lessons and help our learners. So ALS teachers go out of their way to check on learners, rain or shine. They make sure that the learning materials get into the hands of our learners. Finally, whenever or wherever possible, learning will happen because of our dedicated ALS implementers who brave the challenging conditions on the field to give our learners a second chance at education. So these were the photos shared with us through Twitter. So thank you to all the ALS implementers who participated. I hope everyone is now excited to try out Twitter or some other social media platform with students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben, and I hope implementers are excited to try out this Twitter activity as well. So far, we have shown you how the internet can be beneficial for you as a teacher and as you interact with your learners. But the internet can be beneficial to you as a professional interacting with your peers. Our third speaker is Miss Michelle Sarabillo, a learning management specialist from CMEO Innotech. She is here to present Innotech's experience in setting up, managing, and maintaining a professional learning network.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. I'm so thrilled to be part of this program and grateful to have this opportunity to share with you our experience and ongoing journey in growing learning communities on Facebook. So here's the outline of my presentation. I'll begin with our why, what compelled and continue to inspire uh, inspire us to create and grow learning communities using Facebook as the platform. Next, I'll briefly talk about how we started using Facebook. I'll then dive into some of the key lessons that we have learned over the years. And I'll end by sharing a story that hopefully will inspire you as you grow the community of ALS educators in the country. So here, I'll start with our why. Our principal purpose is to provide a platform where people will learn with and from each other. Second, we want to maintain or build a sense of connectedness among our alumni and community members. Lastly, we believe that if we create a network of people learning and collaborating with each other, possibilities abound. We're excited to see where our learners or community members can and will take our communities moving forward. Essentially, building communities is our way of taking care of our participants' learning journey. Here are the principles that guided and continue to guide us in the way we establish online communities. Alignment and purpose. Our intention of building a community is by design. It's not an afterthought. If you look closely at our program's desired learning outcomes, the creation of a network of principals or teachers or policymakers that would support one another figures prominently in the program or course design. We recognize the power of social learning and interaction. We've witnessed how learning is magnified or amplified when done in collaboration with others. But while we believe in the collective power of the group, we also respect the individual member's voice and choice. After all, our members are all adults and experts in their own fields. We have a bias towards accessibility, and this is precisely the reason why we are on Facebook. Facebook remains the most accessible social media platform for our learners in Southeast Asia. We just have to meet our learners where they are. So how we started. When we when we started using Facebook for our programs, Facebook was seen as a social media tool and nothing else. So it was an exploration and experimentation on our side. Back then, we were limited to using just the group chat feature of the platform for discussions, sending out announcements and reminders, and sharing articles and photos. Then pages and closed group features came out, and we were one of the early adopters who took advantage of the available technology in engaging our learners and alumni. So we optimized the use of Facebook's features such as units, announcements, discussions, and others. And we found them to be value adding to our participants' learning experience. So here are a few examples of the online community that we are maintaining. These communities were set up for the courses and programs that we implemented for teachers and school heads. The courses and programs are now long over and completed, but we still maintain these accounts so our participants can continue to learn and connect with one another. I'd like to share with you these two models of learning community that emerged from our experience. So the first model is a private learning community composed of participants that had the privilege of sharing in-person experience when they came to Inotech and met each other in the flesh. So the online community was embedded in the course program or in the course or program that they attended. So the learning space on Facebook became an extension of their learning experience. So whatever norms they have set face to face became their norms online. An example of this is the SEDF 2019 community, which is composed of school leaders from the different Southeast Asian countries. Only the alumni of that program are members in this community. Even when at present, there are almost 2,000 pending requests for membership in this group. The other model is the open community. Members didn't go to Inotech and they didn't have the opportunity to meet each other. What bonds them is the shared purpose or desire to learn and build expertise. An example of this is the Becoming a Better Teacher everyday page who's got diverse membership. So once a person joins this learning community, the norms are presented to him or her for him or her to observe and uphold. So members in both communities share the same purpose, and that is to learn, to deepen their practice, and connect with other educators in the country or in the region. Both models are facilitated communities. We deliver an array of activities to offer value and keep the engagement of our members. So we send out regular messages and reminders. We create and curate learning materials in the form of videos, articles, infographics, circulars, and others. We also spark discussions by posting questions or prompts. We offer ongoing support by responding to queries and requests as we see fit, and we host live events. In initiating and facilitating all the activities that I mentioned, you need community builders. They're also called administrators, moderators, social media managers. So they're the ones who make the space safe and open for everyone in the community. They curate, create, and post contents. They make sure that there is variety to support the different learning styles and interests of the community members. They moderate the discussion. They respond to inquiries and requests. Basically, community builders, they play a very critical role in the engagement of the members and the sustainability of the group. So just to share with you some of the lessons or insights that we have learned or gained over the years, I'll start with this one. It's important to check in with your members regularly. You would have to define the regularity of your posts depending on your members' needs, participation, or how participative you would want them to be. It helps to have a guide as you curate and create your contents. So in our case, we use competency frameworks for school heads and teachers. We make sure that our contents help build their competencies. Use analytics to inform your engagement strategy. Facebook Insights can tell you when your members are most engaged, which posts grab their attention, and other information. So these are all data that can inform your decisions and actions. Admittedly, this is something that we need to explore more on. More and more, we're seeing that each community is unique and special in its own ways. It's the individual and collective members that define the community's persona. Now I'd like to share this with you. Yeah, this photo was taken during the online reunion of school heads that completed the school leadership program. This reunion was held last October 4th in celebration of World Teachers Day. It was initiated, organized, and facilitated by the Philippine team. So we, the course management team, didn't know about this. We were pleasantly surprised that they cooked something special for the group. So we just showed up and participated. So here you see that 1 year after we have established that community of learning, the connection is continued through the online space that they share on Facebook. So there they share milestones with each other, who got promoted, who got transferred to another school, who's celebrating birthday, etc. So they share about practically everything. So they also share about programs and projects that are happening in their schools and in their communities. And we were told that next year it's Cambodia that is hosting the reunion. They said that it can either be online or face to face depending on the situation. Yeah, we're excited. So looking ahead, we will continue to experiment and co-create possibilities with our community members. We will continue to leverage and optimize the new features of the platform of Facebook to improve community engagement. And if I may, I'll also encourage you to do the same. Just continue to navigate the platform, discover its new features, and use whatever that will serve your members, your communities, and of course, your purpose. There will be missteps along the way, but they're part of the learning experience. Just have fun. So, yeah, that ends my presentation. I wish you all the best as you create and grow your learning communities on Facebook. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Miss Mitch. And now for our next presenter, she is from the Department of Education, Miss Maria Melissa Di Albino, Senior Education Program Specialist from the Bureau of Curriculum Development of the Department of Education. She will present the Learning Strand 6 of the new ALS K-12 Basic Education Curriculum. Ms. Melissa led the development of the new ALS curriculum and the crafting of the competencies of Learning Strand 6 focused on digital citizenship.
Good morning. It's great to see you all. Thank you for having me in this virtual orientation. The Mobile Technology for Teachers orientation is an important activity for the teachers who need to be equipped with digital knowledge and skills, especially in this time of pandemic. Teachers are the drivers of quality education, and we need to adopt technologies that will fit the different scenarios of our learners. I am privileged to present to you the overview of the ALS K-12 Basic Education Curriculum, specifically the Learning Strand 6 or the Digital Citizenship. The ALS K-12 Basic Education Curriculum 2017 edition for the Philippine Department of Education Alternative Learning System was developed over a two-period from 2015 to 2017 and has been reviewed several times by national and international non-formal and formal education curriculum experts. The Learning Strand 6 was an additional learning strand that talks about the concepts and principles of digital citizenship. This was developed in order to have a complete package of the curriculum to attain 21st century skills. This is my presentation outline. The presentation is all about the following. First, we have the legal basis. Second, the K-12 Basic Education Curriculum Framework. The third one is the ALS K-12 Basic Education Curriculum. And the last one is the Learning Strand 6 Digital Citizenship Curriculum. The Sustainable Development Goals, otherwise known as the Global Goals, are a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peaceful and prosperity society. The SDGs came into effect in January 2016, and they will continue to guide UNDP policy and funding until 2030. Since 2000, there has been enormous progress in achieving the target of universal primary education. The total enrollment rate in developing regions reached 91% in 2015, and the worldwide number of children out of school has dropped by almost half. The Department of Education needs to continue to Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is the quality education. Achieving inclusive and quality education for all reaffirms the belief that education is one of the most powerful and proven vehicles for sustainable development. This goal ensures that all girls and boys complete free primary and secondary schooling by 2030. It also aims to provide equal access to affordable vocational trainings, to eliminate gender and wealth disparities, and achieve universal access to equality higher education. For the alternative learning system, we are mandated to cover the universal youth and adult literacy. It is not only reaching them, but providing them quality education. Another legal basis of the ALS K-12 basic education curriculum is the RA 10533, which is the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. This law aims to improve the quality of basic education and adequately prepare high school graduates to be ready for higher education, work or employment, middle skills development, entrepreneurship, and make them globally competitive. For the PDP or the Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2022 strategic framework, it intensifies and expands the alternative learning system that enable those not reached by formal system to complete basic education or acquire lifelong learning. It is not only the access but also the quality of education being served in the community. One of the President's priority is to intensify and expand the alternative learning system, and it is also anchored in the 10-point agenda of our Secretary, Leonor Magtolis Briones. For those who are not reached by the formal basic education system, whether children, youth, or adults, we will intensify our efforts for extensive positive outcomes on alternative learning system. The Enhanced Basic Education Program is a response to national and global community needs and demands through its mission to strengthen the values of the Filipino people, develop a strong sense of nationalism, develop productive citizens who contribute to the building of a progressive, just, and humane society, ensure environmental sustainability, and cultivate global partnerships for development. The K-12 graduate is a holistically developed Filipino who has built foundation for learning throughout life. They are the individuals equipped with information, media and technology skills, learning and innovation skills, life and career skills, and communication skills necessary to tackle the challenges and take advantage of the opportunities of the 21st century. These skills are defined and described as follows. For information media and technology, its skills deals with various sub-skills such as visual and information literacies, media literacy, basic scientific, economic, and technological literacies, multicultural literacy, and global awareness. For learning and innovation skills, it includes, among others, creativity and curiosity, critical thinking, problem-solving skills, adaptability, managing complexity and self-direction, and sound reasoning skills. For communication skills, it enables the learner to easily adapt to the challenges and seize opportunities in the global village. Teaming, collaboration, and interpersonal skills and interactive communication are part and parcels of the 21st century learning and are integrated in all learning areas, which are gradually developed through the learning competencies and performance standards. For life and career skills, on the other hand, it empowers learners to make informed decisions leading to a gainful and decent living, thereby giving them the leverage to significantly contribute to the development of the society. These skills, coupled with different support systems such as curriculum support, family support, societal support, instructional support, and administrative support, the DepEd core values are designed to holistically prepare the K-12 learners to become effective in helping address the needs of the nation by pursuing higher education, employment, entrepreneurship, or middle-level skills development. As a result, the K-12 graduates are able to engage in productive and creative undertakings individually or collaboratively. The next slide shows us the context of the K-12 Philippine Basic Education Curriculum Framework composed of philosophical and legal bases, the nature of the learner, needs of the learner, and needs of national and global community. These are the four curriculum exits for the K-12 graduates to become holistically developed Filipino with 21st century skills by pursuing higher education, employment, entrepreneurship, or middle-level skills development. In this slide, this is the overall framework of the formal education system and alternative learning system, the K-12 basic education curriculum. The overall goal is functionally literate and holistically developed Filipinos. The two systems have the same goals and national curriculum standards as well as the national assessment framework, that there will be a flexible entry, re-entry, and exit to both systems. For the formal education system, it is not only the regular classroom-based, but also the alternative delivery modes that will cater school-age learners and those learners who are at risk of dropping out. So we have Open High School, Project East, Mimosa, E-Impact, Homeschool, and Night High School. For the alternative learning system, community-based learning and blended learning are being implemented by the ALS learning facilitators. These are the different modalities such as face-to-face, radio-based, computer-based, and independent learning. The K-12 basic education program, both for formal and alternative learning system, aims to enhance the information, media, and technology skills, learning and innovation skills, communication skills, and life and career skills to achieve 21st century skills. All K-12 key stages are the basic literacy, lower elementary level, advanced elementary level, junior high school, and senior high school. The basic literacy level is equivalent to kinder to grade 1, while the lower elementary is comparable to grade 2 and 3, and the advanced elementary level is parallel to grades 4 to 6 of the formal school. The junior high school is grades 7 to 10, while the senior high school is grades 11 and 12. The design of the ALS K-12 basic education curriculum is patterned after the K-12 curriculum framework, anchored on the following 21st century skills: information, media, and technology skills, learning and innovation skills, communication skills, and life and career skills. Substantially aligned with the K-10 curriculum, but not a mirror image. This means that it has more academic focused competencies compared to the old ALS curriculum, like in science, mathematics, English and Filipino, or the communication skills, and additional ICT and life skills related competencies not found in the formal school system have been retained or added. Designed to equip the ALS learners with necessary minimum foundational competencies that will prepare them for the senior high school program. Response to the unique context of ALS, for example, for the out-of-school youth and adult learners. And some of the competencies may be similar in focus and scope to that found in the formal school curriculum, but have been rewarded, modified, adapted to fit the learning context of the ALS learners. So the ALS K-12 basic education curriculum showed the revised set of learning strands, as well as a new learning strand, or the digital citizenship. As you can see, the left side, we have the old learning strand. It is from LS1 to LS5. But for the new learning strands, so we have LS1 communication skills, including listening, speaking, reading and writing, and viewing from print and electronic media in Filipino and English, scientific and critical thinking skills, including scientific and critical thinking, LS3 mathematical and problem solving skills, including numeracy and problem solving, LS4 life and career skills, including ability to earn a living as unemployed or self-employed, sustainable consumption and productivity. For LS5, understanding the self and society, including self-development, a sense of personal and national history and identity, cultural pride and recognition and understanding of civil diversity, practice and nonviolent resolution of conflicts, ASEAN regional integration, and global awareness and solidarity. And lastly, we have the digital citizenship or learning strand 6, including knowledge of digital concepts and operations using internet and digital system network, using ICT and digital devices and applications in daily life, and practicing digital ethics. 21st century Philippine society is replete with myriad rapidly changing information and communication technologies, or ICTs. The way people plan, develop, implement, and communicable ideas and knowledge have been transformed as computers, the internet, social media, and mobile devices have become increasingly pervasive. To adopt these changes, Filipinos need to develop a whole new range of ICT-related skills to be effective citizens in an increasingly digital world. This learning strand addresses the needs of all learners to develop basic skills in ICT use, and digital literacy. Accordingly, a new learning strand has been added in the ALS K-12 basic education curriculum focused on digital citizenship for 21st century Filipino citizens. These learning strands seek to help equip all learners with critical knowledge, skills, and values to be able to live and work effectively as part of the digital universe. Okay, so do we mind the gap between digital natives and digital immigrants? Who are the digital natives? They are the generation of people who are born in close contact with computers and the internet through mobile phones, tablets, and video games and consoles. And who are the digital immigrants? Most of us are the digital immigrants. We are we were raised prior to the digital age and we need to adapt to the new language and practices of digital technologies. According to Ms. Roberta Marley Basay of World Bank, the digital divide has been catastrophic for large group of students around the world. She said that there were issues of equity arising from the COVID-19 pandemic's impact on education. So we as educators and teachers, we need to bridge the digital divide by equipping ourselves with digital technologies. What are the ICTs in 21st century education? These are some of the sample or application we need in order to bridge the gap between the digital natives and the digital immigrants. In order to attain the information, media, and technology skills, the Bureau of Curriculum Development added an additional learning strand, or the Learning Strand 6, or digital citizenship. The schematic diagram shows the overall goal of this learning strand: to produce 21st century digital citizens who are confident in using ICT and digital tools in a responsible and ethical manner. Digital literacy is needed to achieve this goal. Digital literacy is the capacity of every learner to safely and responsibly generate, apply, and share digital information in multiple formats from a wide range of sources using computers or mobile devices. To achieve digital literacy, also learners need both ICT-related knowledge and skills and the ability to integrate such skills and knowledge across the competencies listed in other four learning strands of the ALS curriculum. This is the application part where the learners utilize their digital knowledge and skills as tools to communicate with others and solve problems in daily life. Each of the other four learning strands will thus go hand in hand with learning strand 6, or the digital citizenship. The learning competencies and skills in this learning strand are sequenced from the simplest to the most complex and based on the context standards. Leveling of the learning competencies will start at lower elementary up to senior high school. So here's the total of the number of competencies per key stage. In this slide, it showed the sample of digital citizenship integration across the learning competencies of the other learning strands. For example, number 1, we have learning strand 1, or communication skills speaking, performance standard B2, make and prepare for an oral presentation. And we have learning strand 6, performance standards A, to compare the experience of people using technology in the 21st century to those who live in the 20th century. So here, the teachers may use the content from LS6 and also master one of the macro skill of communication skills, or the speaking skill. Then, with the use of the mobile technology, learner may record a selfie video of himself or herself using his or her mobile phone. So we can do that. Then these are the content and performance standard of learning strand 6. So we have the digital concepts, explain basic concept related to use of information communication technologies in an increasingly digital world. We have digital operations and management, demonstrate knowledge and basic hardware operation, software operation, and file management in using computers. Use common office application for digital application, software packages. We have the word processing, spreadsheet, presentation software to produce documents and manage information as tools to solve problems in daily life. Then we have digital system network to navigate the digital global system to search for information and resources and communicate with others in everyday life. Then we have digital devices, make use of mobile devices as tools to access information and communicate with others, and digital ethics to demonstrate ethical practices and values in using technology in 21st century. So for the digital concepts, here are samples of, or the sum of the contents. So we have information and communication technology, or ICTs, and its example, 21st century and 20th century technologies, digital natives and digital immigrants, advantages and disadvantages of the 21st century in terms of ICT, computer and its characteristics, different types of computer and its application, parts of a desktop computer and its function, computer hardware and software and its function. For digital operations and management, how to operate a computer, procedure of operating computer peripherals, installation and opening of software programs, potential problem of desktop computer, troubleshooting basic problem of a desktop computer, and management of personal file in a computer. For digital applications, we have first the word processing, use of word processing application, creation of new word processing, formatting commands in word processing document, process of mail merge, commands in finalizing a document. For spreadsheets, use of spreadsheet application, use of cells in spreadsheet, practices and customizing worksheets, use of arithmetic formulas and function in spreadsheets, creation of formulas, use of number, dates, and contents in a spreadsheet, creation of charge command in finalizing spreadsheet document. For presentation software, use of presentation software application, creation of a new presentation, formatting commands in presentation document, use of graphical objects and presentations, command and finalizing presentation document. For digital system network, we have the origin of the internet, different ways to access the internet, advantages and disadvantages of the internet, use of the World Wide Web, different user-generated contents, communication tools, and educational resources in the internet. For digital devices, we have mobile devices, characteristic of a mobile device, different types of mobile devices, different kinds of mobile devices, use of mobile devices, safety and ethical use of mobile devices, advantages and disadvantages of mobile devices. And last, for the digital ethics and its importance, ethical and unethical behavior of user of digital technology, right behaviors using the internet, different terminologies in safe and responsible use of digital technology, minimize the risk of negative online behaviors, safety and ethical practices to reduce risk and maximize opportunities. To utilize the ALS K-12 basic education curriculum, we need to familiarize ourselves with the format and parts of the curriculum guide. This is the ALS K-12 curriculum guide format. So we have the narrative or description, a schematic diagram, content standard, performance standard, learning competency, codes, and levels. So this is the actual screenshot of the curriculum guide. Okay, and we have the ALS code legend from learning strand 1 up to learning strand 6, and the ALS level code, and we have the ALS code legend sample. So for the ALS code legend, so for the first entry, we have the learning strand. For the uppercase letter or letters, we have the content standard, performance standard, level. And for the Arabic number, we have the learning competency. And below that are the content standards of learning strand 6. And on the right lower part, we have the different, for the digital application, we have the different codes of the word processing, spreadsheet, presentation software. So this is one example. So we have LS6 DC. It is the learning strand and area or skill. Digital concept, that is digital citizenship rather. Then for the second entry, we have the content standard. We have the digital application and word processing. And then for the performance standard and the levels and the learning competency. Okay. So before I end my presentation, thank you all for being here today and for your patience. I wish you all good day. Maraming salamat po. Isang karangalan ang maglingkod sa bayan.
Thank you, Ms. Melissa, for sharing what Learning Strand 6 has to offer. Our next presenter is Ms. Yolanda C. de las Alas, Senior Specialist of CMAO Inotech, and she's here to tell us about e-citizenship.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session on e-citizenship. My name is Yoli de las Alas, Senior Specialist from Educational Research and Innovation Office that oversees the MT4T project. I will present the e-citizenship resources developed by Inotech, which are very relevant because until now, classes are suspended due to COVID-19. This global health pandemic changed the way things are being done, and that includes the education sector. The restrictions to face-to-face instruction has led to alternative ways of delivering education. While alternative ways of delivery are exactly what the DepEd ALS has been doing all along, it needs to respond to challenges brought by a more technology-infused learning delivery. ALS teachers are challenged to teach the learning strand on digital citizenship as a new set of competencies under the DepEd ALS K-12 basic education curriculum. They need to become more adept on the use of technology for teaching and learning, for their personal and professional development, and to guide learners in the safe and responsible use of technology. UNITEC is committed to support all teachers on digital citizenship to ensure their students' cyber wellness for their own physical and mental well-being online. It involves understanding of online behavior and awareness of how to protect oneself in cyberspace. We hope that this e-citizenship resource kit under the MT4T suite will help you raise your confidence and positive engagement with digital technologies. This session is divided into 3 parts. It starts with an overview of the e-citizenship resources, then a discussion on the learning packets and how these are linked to ALS learning strand on digital citizenship. It will end with the guidelines on asynchronous phase to discuss the expectations, tasks, and materials to be used during the hands-on part. Young people today use computers, mobile devices, applications, and the internet more than ever, and often more than their parents or teachers. This opens the door to a world of cyber opportunities and risks, which can lead to both negative and positive experiences for children. For this reason, the e-citizenship ebook on cyber wellness and digital citizenship was designed to upgrade teachers' knowledge about cyber opportunities and risks, which their learners face and how these can be addressed. The E in e-citizenship refers to electronic computer technology and emotional intelligence in the digital context. It aims to narrow the digital skills gap between teachers and learners. It helps teachers stay abreast of the cyber issues such as digital safety, security, cyberbullying, child protection, data privacy, and information pollution or involution in the cyberspace. Teachers are expected to use digital technologies to impart knowledge, boost critical thinking, cultivate social emotional intelligence, increase students' interest to learn, improve class engagement, enhance online social relations and interactions, achieve better test scores, and adaptability for disadvantaged learners. In terms of purpose, the e-citizenship ebook aims to raise your awareness on concepts of digital opportunities and risks, digital safety, e-citizenship, and values, which are relevant to all forms of ICT use and to all young people. It will provide multiple strategies for teachers to empower learners to be safe and become more responsible users of mobile technology. That is, they became more ethical, empathetic, intelligent, and proactive users of ICT. It will give teachers access to relevant resources on cyber wellness and updates on current development in ICT, and enhance emotional intelligence as a critical competency for safe and responsible digital citizenship. Teachers like you have a powerful, positive role in helping students use technologies safely and considerately. However, your potential influence depends on your thorough understanding of complexities of the digital world and how learners interface with it. But how could a digital migrant teacher even begin understanding the digital world when he or she is not comfortable with digital technologies? This gap has to be closed in order for a teacher to become a role model to their students. The e-citizenship package consists of a guidebook on cyber wellness and digital citizenship with a set of instructional materials called learning packets that are available online at www.simu-inotech.org/mt4t/ and in the Inotech Reader mobile app. The learning packets are activity-based lessons developed in response to teacher suggestion during the MT4T validation for a classroom lessons that will help guide their learners in developing higher order thinking skills. All the lesson plans bank on using emotional intelligence of learners in dealing with cyber risks and threats. In terms of users, aside from teachers from elementary or secondary levels, the school administrators and education ministry officials can also benefit on the use of these materials. But how can these materials help in raising your awareness on cyber wellness and digital citizenship? As shown in this framework, this ebook was developed for teachers to assist their students on digital citizenship using internal strategies such as raising their evolution awareness, critical thinking, and social emotional skills in order for them to minimize the cyber threats. Likewise, teachers need to use external strategies such as technology or ICT, school policies, and school practices such as regulation on the use of ICT or self-regulation by the users in order to maximize online opportunities. By doing so, both teachers and learners can enhance their competencies on cyber wellness and responsible digital citizenship. In terms of content, the ebook on e-citizenship is comprehensive, but easy to read and easy to understand. It has a total of 14 chapters, but can be divided into two major parts. Part 1 gives an overview of digital citizenship and cyber wellness. It covers the world's rapidly changing digital trends and trends within Southeast Asia. It outlines the many opportunities and risks associated with using ICT and introduces conceptual frameworks on cyber wellness and digital citizenship. Part 2 is about developing intelligent digital citizens and these are contained on chapters 4 to 14. It covers cyberbullying, privacy, security, identity, misinformation, piracy, plagiarism, ethics, respect for diversity, and internet addiction and its relevance to digital citizenship. Learning activities are also offered for teachers to develop students' critical thinking and social emotional skills so they can use ICT safely and responsibly. Lastly, there are links to organizations, policies, and programs in Southeast Asia that respond to similar concerns on digital citizenship. Let's now proceed to part 2 of my presentation. We developed 10 learning packets, which are ready-made materials for teachers to conduct lessons on cyber wellness and digital citizenship. There are learning packets that focus on online opportunities, such as being mobile and teenpreneurship. Other learning packets are focused on online risks, such as plagiarism and misinformation, internet addiction, cyberbullying, trolling, cyberstalking, cybergrooming, and online exploitation, herd mentality, and exposure to inappropriate content. We asked some ALS teachers to use one of the learning packets recommended by the ALS Task Force and to share their experience in using it with ALS learners. You may also try out the learning packets and we would be happy to listen to your feedback. These learning packets can be integrated in the following core learning areas: English, science, math, values, social studies, and ICT. We also did tagging of competencies to match the e-citizenship learning packets with the DepEd ALS competency codes under learning strand number 6. The learning packets were tagged with the corresponding ALS competency codes. And 4 of these LPs have been adapted for ALS. This includes being mobile, teenpreneurship, internet addiction, plagiarism, and misinformation. Tips for adaptation were added to suit the current ALS situation for remote or self-directed learning. As you can see in this slide, the learning packet on teenpreneurship or entrepreneurship for teenagers will help engage learners to do online business through a simulation that exposes students to opportunities and threats in e-commerce, or now called as digital entrepreneurship. This offers positive engagement with learners through online business using social media. The second learning packet that we recommend for tryout is on being mobile, which delves on advantages and disadvantages of using mobile gadgets and the practical ways on its safe and ethical use. The third learning packet is about plagiarism and misinformation. This will help students to think critically to protect them from online risk. Plagiarism is about taking someone's work and claiming that it belongs to you. Misinformation or spreading of information that is not accurate proliferates in social media, but this could be avoided or minimized using the strategies in this learning packet. The learning packet on internet addiction is the fourth LP recommended for learners who are addicted in the excessive, unregulated, and uncontrolled use of the internet. The other learning packets were also tagged with codes of ALS learning strand on digital citizenship. But as of date, these have not yet been modified for ALS delivery. But we can learn from the tryout experience of the ALS teachers and apply their suggestions to other learning packets for contextualization to ALS delivery. These learning packets include cyberstalking. As shown in this slide, it can be described as an obsessive following of someone online, and we call that someone a stalker. Another learning packet is on cyberbullying, which is defined as the use of electronic communication to bully a person. The learning packet on herd mentality online talks about how people can be influenced by their peers to adopt certain behaviors, like when somebody started calling attention to avatars. Although it's been existing for quite some time on Facebook, still a lot of people followed. The learning packet on exposure to inappropriate content includes materials with sexual content, violence, or controversial issues which are harmful to children and young adults. The learning packet on trolling is closely related to bullying online. It's an act that provokes anger by insulting their targets. And we call these offenders as trolls. And there are many trolls nowadays in the internet. The learning packet on cyber grooming and online exploitation is the process of befriending someone online to get that person's trust, but with the intention of exploiting that person. This can happen to anyone. Young and old become victims of exploitation, as we have seen on the news today. A learning packet has two components, the teacher's guide and the presentation slides. Some learning packets also come with manipulatives that learners will need to see or use during the learning activity. The PowerPoint slides help teachers execute the activity by giving instruction for students and are highly graphical in format. To help teachers develop students' competencies on cyber wellness and e-citizenship, the ebooks activity-based lesson plans cover topics on how to manage cyber risks and opportunities. And each learning packet makes use of the 5 A's of instructional design, which utilizes the experiential learning approach. The lesson plan starts with an activity and followed by analysis, abstraction, application, and assessment. Starting a lesson with a high engaging activity makes the process more learner-centered and helps learners to internalize the e-citizenship concepts. The learning packet provides a summary of activities using PowerPoint and the subsequent steps following the 5 A's learning sequence. What is a typical learning packet looks like? A typical structure of an EP or LP includes the developmental stage and intended age range of learners by which the activities are applicable for. the time, duration, materials needed, and ways to adapt the lesson to other age groups and types of learner. It provides the rationale and prerequisite knowledge and skills for learners to better appreciate the lesson. It gives an overview of the lesson, which may revolve around a game-based activity. It explains how the activity serves as a springboard for analysis and abstraction of essential concepts. The lessons informs how the learners can apply what they have learned, and if the lesson can be spread over to 2 or more sessions. It outlines the expected learning outcomes and which subjects the lesson can be integrated. To help teachers be more confident in content delivery, background information on the topic is also provided. It has a section on how the lesson can be adapted to other learners and provide tips to make instructions clear by, let's say, using mother tongue. There are annexes to describe the detailed mechanics, materials to be printed, and the rubric to assess learners' performance. In all the learning packets, there is a matrix like this, which summarizes the main themes covered by a learning packet based on international frameworks on digital citizenship. For this sample lesson on being mobile, both opportunities and risks on being mobile are tackled. The developmental stage where this lesson is most appropriate for are in the middle to late childhood and adolescence. Based on Singapore's framework on cyber wellness, this learning packet covers cyber use, relationship, and citizenship. For the I Keep Safe framework, this learning packet on being mobile covers the concepts of balance and relationships. In terms of values-based digital intelligence, being mobile covers screen time management, critical thinking, cybersecurity management, and privacy management. Other concepts covered on digital citizenships are etiquette, communication, responsibility, security, safety, and access. The domains promoted under the DCAP or Digital Kids Asia Pacific Framework of UNESCO were also covered by this learning packet. And for the age of learners, the lesson on being mobile is applicable for learners from 9 to 16 years old and above. For adaptation to us, we tried to modify the learning packet on being mobile by adding tips for remote learning application. The simulation game in this learning packet called Top Secret can be played by the learner at home with 1 or 2 family members as players. The teacher can modify the printed materials for the simulation game by, let's say, providing an e-copy through Facebook Messenger with instructions in Filipino. Or learners may draw their own game cards using pen and paper. The mechanics of the game can be also modified by teachers by reducing the number of players involved, replacing the players with familiar names to adapt to a local scenario, or simplify the instructions depending on the learner's level. Teachers may also select slides as supplementary materials, which may be distributed in print or online, or create their own materials. They may reduce the number of guide questions for analysis and abstraction. They can simplify the rubric or translate it in Filipino and need not be printed out. Or they may change the methodology by allowing learners to rate each other's performance using rubrics. Likewise, on teenpreneurship, there are suggestions provided for self-directed learning. So instead of doing a simulation game on e-commerce, students will read a web article on how to earn money online as a teenager, and then try to answer these questions for reflection and submit the outputs online to the teacher. These learning packets on e-citizenship were tried and validated by other teachers in 10 CMU member countries. Here are some photos of a lesson demonstration in Indonesia. The teacher in this slide facilitated the simulation game on being mobile for the first time. But the teacher was able to do it well, and everyone enjoyed as they strategized to win the game. Another is the lesson on teenpreneurship in action at San Pedro Relocation Center National High School, wherein students underwent online shopping using social media. They were given roles to play as buyers, sellers, and bankers. They sell using Facebook, applied strategies to convince buyers, and based on their experiences, they identified the opportunities and risks in online shopping, such as sales fraud or scam, phishing, or identity theft. Now that you are acquainted with the e-citizenship learning packets, I encourage you to review and try out a learning packet of your choice. We hope that using this, you can make a difference in cultivating the learner's cyber wellness and digital citizenship. The third part for this session is about the asynchronous activities. After this webinar, you will be given 3 days offline to read, scan, study, and use the learning packets. And to maximize your offline participation, we have prepared a list of tasks for you to explore other available MT4T resources from our so-called App Store. However, by design, the asynchronous activities are limited only to ALS key trainers selected to accomplish specific tasks from December 8 to 10. We have 3 asynchronous tasks for the 102 ALS key trainers. And here are the sub-steps. For the first asynchronous task, the first step is deliver a lesson if you are an ALS teacher, or review a lesson if you are an ALS supervisor from among these 4 topics: being mobile, teenpreneurship, internet addiction, and plagiarism and misinformation. And for ALS teachers in particular, consider your responses to the following questions. Which e-citizenship learning packets did you use? How many learners and which level or program was it used? In which community learning area was it used? How did you contextualize the lesson to ALS learners in your school community? How did you deliver the lesson? What parts of the lesson worked well? Which parts did not work and may need to be adjusted for other ALS learners? Were there any other challenges in delivering the lesson, and how did you overcome them? Do you have suggestions for other ALS teachers who may plan to use the lesson? The last step is to sum up your answers to these questions with a maximum of 5 sentences and share this online. You have the option to create a post on your personal Facebook account, but set it to public, and please add the hashtag #TatakMT4TALS, or you may create a short video clip and post it in the ALS Facebook Key Trainers official group. So that's for the asynchronous task 1. Now for the second asynchronous task, the first step is to listen at least 2 podcast episodes on digital citizenship to be shared in the ALS Key Trainers official Facebook group. Reflect on how the insights gained can be applied in your context as ALS implementer. Then create an account in the MT4T website forum at www.simu-inutech.org/MT4T/forum and respond to the discussion threads on podcast episodes you have listened to and share your insights and reflections with other ALS implementors. So that's the instruction for asynchronous task number 2. For the third asynchronous task, step 1 is to access the set of MT4T application cards posted in the DepEd's Facebook group for ALS Key Trainers. Then download to your device to file for the My MT4T's SOCMED or social media logs. These is a matrix or set of competencies for assessment in using social media. And for step 3, as you have seen in this slide, my social media competency assessment, edit the image of each assessment card with check marks on boxes to show which ones you have tried out or have been doing based on suggestions in the social media application cards. Step 4 is to upload the photo of your MT4T SOCMED logs as a post in the ALS Key Trainers official Facebook group with your reflections written in 3 sentences. So that's it for the asynchronous guidelines. And if you have further questions, maybe we can discuss it during the open forum. Now, in the course of teaching the ALS Learning strand on digital citizenship and cyber wellness, we hope to see you grow professionally like a seed planted in a fertile soil using the MT4T resources and DepEd ALS learning competencies or the essential learning competencies, as this will equip you in navigating the cyber world with enormous opportunities and risks brought by digital technologies. I wish that you will bloom anywhere under the sun to become responsible users of the digital technologies and models of digital citizenship. This is our desired aspiration and results after you joining this MT4T webinar. As lifelong learners, you can help inspire your students to aspire to become not only as responsible, proactive, intelligent, and empathetic users of technology, but also to become creators of technologies as they learn to invent and develop new knowledge, products, tools, gadgets, and processes that would address problems in your school communities. May you also become innovators of change by contextualizing the use of MT4T resources, the e-citizenship learning materials, and other technologies that are appropriate for the ALS learners. In closing, I would like to say, may you have a meaningful journey with your students towards cyber wellness and digital citizenship. Marami pong salamat, and may you have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much, Ms. Yoli, for introducing us the e-citizenship resources, and also for setting the expectations for the asynchronous activities. With that, we are done with all the presentations for webinar day 1, and day 2 won't be until Friday, but we still have time, so we're dedicating the rest of it for questions and answer. May I invite our speakers to turn on our panelists to turn on their cameras. And we also invite Asek Ambat and Ms. Melissa, and also Mr. Eric Corpus from the ALS Task Force to turn on their cameras.
Morning to all. With regard to the question as to when.
Mr. Eric, excuse me, we'll go to you later. Let's ask when I see yung other questions. We already received some questions from our Q&A tab and also from our social media. The first one would be for Asek Ambat. Asek, what are the plans of the ALS Task Force to support implementation of Learning Strand 6 on digital citizenship? Is Asek Ambat here?
Asek? Hi, good morning. Can you say that again?
Hello, Asek.
Sorry.
The question is, what are the plans of the ALS Task Force to support the implementation of Learning Strand 6 on digital citizenship?
Currently, of course, we started with this training, so we are happy with the support of UNICEF and Simeo Inotech. And for the coming months, we are looking at coming up, of course, with an ICT roadmap for ALS, so that will guide us in our plans for ensuring that there will be online learning, that there will be a more robust and more productive use of technology as we deliver ALS. And then, of course, you do understand that during the lockdown, we were supported by UNICEF Philippines in setting up the ICT for ALS website, which is the online resource portal for ALS learning resources. So we have there the learning modules, we have there um not just for the literacy component of ALS, but also take, for example, information on COVID, online teaching and learning strategies for our teachers. And we are looking also at we are now piloting the online delivery of ALS through our partners in Sandiwaan Learning Center. And hopefully we will get to integrate this and come up with a more comprehensive operation on how we will move forward with Learning Strand 6. And also, we are partnering with organizations to help us develop the learning resources for LS6. We are in conversation now with Microsoft Philippines in helping us with the learning resources, with the program, and also training our teachers so that they can teach the skills of MS, and eventually we'll have micro certifications also for Microsoft.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ASEC. Wow, learning about the scope of what Learning Strand 6 has to offer is, I'm speechless. Actually, there is a lot to expect from this Learning Strand 6, and I hope everyone is excited. I know it will be delivered, and hopefully soon. Okay, we have a question for Miss Melissa. Sorry. Miss Melissa, this is regarding Learning Strand 6. Are there available learning materials that mobile teachers can use to teach our learners the concepts of digital citizenship?
Okay, good morning to all of you. Before I answer the question, I would like to say good morning to our CIMEO Inotech team, headed by Mr. Ramon C. Bacani, Mr. Philip Pernell, and the organizer, as well as the Mr. Nobari, Deputy Representative of UNICEF Philippines, and our DepEd family, headed by our Assistant Secretary G.H. Ambat, Director Marilet Almeida, and our ALS implementers. So for our learning material, since the BCD already turned over last 2019 all of the curriculum and other learning resources to the ALS task force, I know that they are still looking on finalizing the draft LS6 modules that we started last 2018, and as well as they can also research on some available materials in the internet and other I think in other references to they can get in some of the DepEd portal or some websites. As of now, when we turn over, wala pa talaga kami na turn over the LS6 materials, but we have draft modules. And I think the ALS task force is still ongoing, reviewing the draft modules we already turned over. Okay. So thank you.
Speaking about the draft modules and the modules themselves, Sir Eric, can you follow up on that?
Morning to all. Good morning, ASEC, Sir Bakani, and our colleagues from the CMU Inotech. With regard to the updates on the development of learning materials for the junior high school, in partnership with UNESCO Jakarta through the APC, the finalization is ongoing, and hopefully it will be handed over to the task force this December, and the soft copy will be distributed first quarter next year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Eric, for clearing those things up. Now, we have a question naman for Ms. Mitch. Ms. Mitch, how would you define a successful PLN or professional learning network or community practice? What are the marks of a thriving PLN?
Ay, magandang umaga po and magandang umaga sa lahat. So, Let me answer that in the context of how we establish and grow learning communities on Facebook, our practices at EOTech. So you see that at the beginning, the learning community on Facebook is somewhat, prerequisite for our training programs. So there is that very clear incentive or value proposition for our participants to go to our pages or groups. Announcements are posted there, photos which our participants love are posted there. So even the handouts are posted there. So I think the challenge comes after the program is completed. Participation in our learning communities become voluntary. And for me, a successful learning community is a community that is able to sustain the engagement from its members. And you do that if you continuously offer value to your members. And I think the what's in it for them has to be very strong. Another mark of a thriving community is when members themselves actively post or share in the group. So it's no longer just the social media manager or the community builder that shares contents. That particular responsibility becomes shared among the members of the group, and you get to see that the aspiration or the responsibility to keep the group and the community alive and active is shared by everyone. So those are my 2 cents, Jen.
Thank you, Miss Mitch. I think we can entertain one last question. There is another one from Mr. Adrian Texon. Could it be possible to provide, this can be answered by anyone from DepEd, could it be possible to provide additional laptops for ALS, mobile teachers, and DALSCs, especially those who are not given yet? This is to deliver ALS programs, specifically Learning Strand 6 on digital citizenship. Thank you.
All right. I will answer that one. So the laptops that were distributed, I think in September or I think August or September, that was the first batch of laptops for our mobile teachers and ALS implementers. We are already in conversation with USEC Elaine Pasqua, who is in charge of course, ICTS and administration. We have given the numbers of our ALS teachers who have not received yet, and we requested that they be included in the next round of procurement. But hopefully, it will be by next year or in 2022. Currently, with the COVID response, budget for COVID response, some of our budget or funding for equipment are slashed for next year, but hopefully some will be restored after the BICAM.
Thank you so
But
much.
we do have plans of providing our teachers. We do realize it's impossible to be teaching digital citizenship using a cartolina or using a Manila paper to teach your students about digital citizenship.
Thank you. Thank you, ASEC, for giving that assurance, Puano. And yes, hopefully everyone will receive yung equipment that they need to deliver the Learning Strand 6 on digital citizenship. And I have to apologize to everyone. We don't have enough time to answer all your questions. But if you did post your questions through the comment section on Facebook or YouTube, we'll go back to you at a later time, and some of the questions will be forwarded to our ALS task force. So don't worry, your questions will be answered, although not during our live session. Thank you so much, speakers and facilitators, for being with us. And of course, on behalf of CMEO Inotech, UNICEF Philippines, and DepEd ALS, we thank all our webinar participants for tuning in and watching the live stream. We still have another webinar in continuation of this one on Friday, so be sure to like and to turn on the notifications for the DepEd ALS 2.0 page, and of course for CMEO Inotech's YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe and turn on your notifications as well, so you'll be informed when we stream again. Of course, for our webinar participants, our key trainers in the webinar, please do not leave the webinar session. Stay until we we will have a few words after our live stream ends. As for the evaluation, we will have an evaluation on Friday. So hold on to your thoughts because we will provide a survey to gather all of them. And to those asking, certificates will be given upon submission of the program evaluation. So be sure to attend our Friday webinar. And that would be all for today. Have a pleasant week, all of you, and we'll see you on Friday, December 11, for the second webinar. Same time and same page. Have a good day and see you all again.